to the T 2006 Rahm Emanuel type. All the way back, baby. Let's go. Taking it back to 2006, Rahm Emanuel, Iraq War veterans. We like the Iraq War, but we just thought we should have done it a different way type guy. Let's go. Throwback. Yeah, so McGrath has raised the most money in the country among Senate candidates, although most of it is coming from outside of Kentucky and probably from resistance liberals and like 4 people also. Yeah, I'm sure she has bundlers and is taking PAC money. Maybe I'm wrong, though. She's argued that she's more pro-Trump than Mitch McConnell. Literally. And that she still cannot make up her mind as Brett Kavanaugh and tricked a poor bunch of minors into being in her campaign ad. Yeah, now McGrath, though, has somehow in real danger of losing her primary with all that money she's gotten to State Representative Charles Booker, a Medicare for All supporting progressive backed by Bernie Sanders, who's raised and spent a fraction of what she has. And it's not just that Schumer's big-footed into the race, it's that he and the DSCC apparently didn't even bother to ask Kentucky's establishment what they had thought. In addition to Sanders and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Booker's been backed by Lundgren Grimes as well, the same person that we told you about before, the former General and House Speaker Greg Stumbo, and a slew of his fellow Democratic legislators. McGrath, on the other hand, has the support of almost no one in Kentucky, and not even the party's establishment. And just this week, Schumer has to answer for kind of how bad of a job he was doing. He says, quote, I believe she'll give McConnell a run for her money. That's nice. Thank you. Thank you, Politico, for reporting that. Yeah, Kentucky just elected a pro-choice, somewhat liberal, often confused governor, and yet it seems that Chuck Schumer just assumed they wanted Joe Manchin number 2. Literally arguing that she is more pro-Trump than Mitch McConnell. That is not a joke. She said that. Ugh. The funniest thing about all of this is that people like McGrath are historically the absolute biggest pain in the ass for Democrats. It's not people like AOC and Rashida Tlaib trying to dump Pelosi from leadership or telling Schumer to kiss their asses or voting for diarrhea as Speaker of the House. It's people like Josh Gottheimer, the psycho from New Jersey, and Joe Manchin and Jeff Drew, people like judging by her politics, Amy McGrath. She's going to be the type of person to, like, if, for example, Bernie Sanders did get in there and Amy McGrath did win her primary and beat McConnell, she would be the type of person who would not vote for Medicare for All. If you look at some of the more useful members of the Senate Democratic Caucus, one of the common threads that holds them together is that they're tailored to their states without being utterly useless to the party's supposed goals. Ohio has gotten only more and more conservative over the past decade as union membership plummeted, and yet old school Labor Dem Sherrod Brown won his re-election 2 years ago by a comfortable margin. Trump won Montana by more than 20 points, but John Tester has been a reliable Democratic vote and has still won 3 statewide elections by focusing on issues like public lands by 538 standard, using the Trump administration's positions as a measuring stick, as imprecise as they may be. Tester's by far the most useful member of the caucus. Arizona Kristen Sinema, by comparison, is essentially the median Republican Senate caucus member. So she's pretty much a Republican vote like half the time. She votes with Republicans. Like, that's just the way it is. Let's be real. It would take a wave of mammoth proportions beyond what we saw in 2010, 2018, or even 1994 to beat McConnell in Kentucky. And if Trump's popularity continues to notice its dive, maybe Schumer will get that wave and retake the Senate off of Joe Biden's coattails, even with as many missteps, and just literally fall into a great situation. But he may have to do it with Charles Booker. It's possible, folks. It's possible. Anything could happen. All right, we are now going to turn the page a little bit to another primary in New York. We talked with James Stanley about this. We've had a lot of debates on the air, and it's really been quite something. So this is a New York Times report here. Jesse McKinley talking about Jamal Bowman. 2 years ago, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, then a young, untested Democratic socialist, pulled off a shocking upset by defeating the number 4 House Democrat Representative Joseph Crowley. The primary was a visceral warning to the Democratic leadership that it had a better quickly reckon with the push for progressive change and not underestimate the candidates behind it. the Democratic establishment apparently heeded that lesson because they are now freaking out to try and save Eliot Engel. He is another long-tenured Democrat. June 23rd coming up, folks. If you're out there in that New York 16th district, hopefully you already got your ballots in and put them in. Get ready to go. To fill out those early ballots for Jamal Bowman, everybody. That is for sure. And I do want to play for you. We got some hype ads to come for you for sure. The latest big name endorsements came in a span of 16 hours on Monday afternoon. Hillary Clinton making her first endorsement of any Democratic incumbent facing a primary in 2020 backed Mr. Engel the following morning. Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts endorsed Bowman. So tit for tat. Bernie Sanders, AOC, also endorsed Bowman, as well as I believe the DSA. I'm pretty confident the DSA. So that is pretty good. He's kind of the left-wing standard bearer right now, Jamal Bowman. I should probably check that for sure. I'm not entirely sure about that. I'm pretty sure, but I'm not entirely sure. Whatever. He's a Justice Democrat, very, very progressive guy. Jamal Bowman, for sure. Engel seems to be the party's most vulnerable incumbent in the nation at the moment, a potential victim of its emboldened left wing, which has grown impatient with the establishment politics that Engel obviously seems to represent. Engel is the chairman of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, is a Democratic stalwart, faithful practitioner of old-school Washington politics, rising committee ranks and bringing home perks for a diverse and overwhelmingly Democratic district at New York City's northern border. Mustachioed and bespectacled, Engel's most famous trait may be his punctuality. He prides himself on arriving early to each and every State of the Union just to secure a seat to shake the president's hand, a tradition as he has halted in opposition to President Trump. But in a political landscape upended by the coronavirus and the national reckoning on race and policing, Engel's press the flesh approach is at risk of seeming like an anachronism. And of course, when he's not there to press the flesh, that can be a problem, and also lies about being in the district to press the flesh, that could be a problem as well. So Bowman, he has the support of Senator Bernie Sanders, by the way, 44. Love to see a good young politician. The generational tent poles of the progressive Democrats, as well as liberal groups like the Working Families Party and political action committees like Justice Democrats, which jointly pledged to spend more than $500,000 to oust Mr. Engel. So Working Families, ex-Justice Democrats here. I like to see that. I like to see the left working together and not dividing, because Working Families Party pretty strong in New York. Great way to find out who is progressive in your area. If you see someone in New York with a Working Families endorsement, they are what's up. So that's for sure. But yeah, Eliot Engel, he's just really kind of that same old politician who's very much into being a politician. Like, he loves the job. He's the kind of person who, like, he is the guy who very kind of, he's connected to, he loves being in Washington with all the perks that you can't kind of come think about. He's very much things like that he likes to give to the district. And when he, quote unquote, gives the district, it's not always going to the people. And he's just a guy who just, he loves the game. And the game, loving the game in Washington is not probably the best and most admirable thing that you can love in Washington. Like, I'm just putting that out there. Most people don't like Washington for a reason. Senator Warren, the former presidential candidate and possible vice presidential contender, said on Tuesday that Bowman was exactly the kind of person we needed in Congress fighting for big structural change. Oh, that word is giving me, I swear to God, PTSD from the primaries. Oh, my God. Mr. Engel has widespread support from the senior House Democrats, including, again, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, James Clyburn of the House Majority Whip, and also, by the way, head of the Congressional freaking Black Caucus, Hakeem Jeffries, the House Democratic Caucus chairman, and also a member of the Black Caucus. On Wednesday, he was endorsed by Andrew Cuomo of New York. Engel's not exactly helping his cause, though. In early June, at a news conference in the Bronx devoted to Black Lives Matter, he was caught on the microphone suggesting he was only there because of a contested race, saying, quote, "If I didn't have a primary, I wouldn't care." Even party veterans like David Axelrod tweeting, "This is like hanging a sign from your neck saying, quote, I've been in office too long." Asked about the comment, Engel said, did not address it directly, but said he wanted people to know how I feel because I feel so strongly about what happened in the aftermath of the killing of George Floyd by police. You feel so strongly. I literally doubt this guy has ever felt more strongly about anything other than like when someone was like late to the Senate luncheon that he organized or something. I don't know. It seems like something he would do. It's like organizing a luncheon and everybody needs to be there by 12 o'clock sharp or you're in trouble. Like that seems to be that's my Angle impersonation there. I don't know. It's not very good, but yeah. And looking back, I see now that 2 weeks later, my words have been detracted from the protest because they've been taken out of context. Oh, there we go. And I want to use my voice to refocus the fact that Black Lives Matter, and they do. He says they do. Both Engel and Bowman have been embraced many of the positions championed by Ocasio-Cortez, who represents a neighboring district in the Bronx and Queens, including the Green New Deal and Medicare for All. But I wonder why, who's really going to fight for it? Like, come on. It's kind of like saying Elliot Engel saying he supports Medicare for All is literally no different from Kamala Harris saying he supports Medicare for All. She supports Medicare for All during the primaries. No different, not at all. Engel's campaign website also said support for increased funding in public education, $100 billion in new housing, and comprehensive immigration reform. But his opponents have zeroed in on several hawkish positions he took, including rejecting the Iran nuclear deal in 2015 and supporting the invasion of Iraq more than a decade before. He says, I'm a pretty progressive myself, he said last week in an interview from his home in the Bronx. I have a progressive record down the line for many years in Congress, and I'm proud of my record. Despite the recent success of some progressive insurgents, it is still extraordinarily difficult to unseat a congressional incumbent in a primary election. This year, only 2 have fallen, each under unusual circumstances, and only one of them was Republican. It was Steve King is the incumbent that fell, and Dan Lipinski is the other one. So it's very, very hard to do, and if they do win, it's kind of like once you hit your jackpot, and it's pretty big. So I think Charles Booker could succeed, and I think Jamal Bowman could succeed. I also think Monjero Jones could succeed up here in New York 17. So that's going to be an interesting thing to talk about to the show. We will have a Sunday episode for you, but that's all we have for you today. I'm planning on getting a lot of guests on. Hopefully that works out. And we will see you Saturday night for Uncultured. And actually, it's Thursday. What am I saying? We got to go release this new episode, and we will encourage you to listen to that. All right, see ya. It's Newsflash.